Okay, students, fine. Girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, fine. Girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Shabnam from the code Ark. And let us quickly start without wasting our time, as we have already spent some rough time yesterday for technical troubleshooting. Correct? Good evening, Rakesh, and good evening, others as well. Okay, fine. Otherwise, audibility, visibility, all clear and set to go ahead. I hope so. Okay, so here we go, please. Here we go. Fine. Listen to my agenda of the class today. Listen to my agenda. For the first 5 minutes, I will discuss with you what is SQL or SQL. For the next part of the lecture, we will learn how to install MySQL, and then if time permit, we'll go ahead by writing some simple structured queries in MySQL workbench. Is it okay, everybody? Fine. People, audibility, visibility, all clear, right? Yes, Venkateshwar Rao, thank you. Okay, clear, clear. Good, good. That's okay. Fine. So I told you, as for the first few minutes, let us talk about what is SQL. Fine. Now listen to my story in a very simple way. Look, somewhere in the year long back, that's around 1960, the very first database comes into existence in the world. Okay, वो सबसे पहला database सामने आता है. And the people are very curious, some of them are very anxious, some of them are very excited that this is a wow system to store the data, like in the form of rows, columns, tables and all, which was otherwise so unorganized. But then there is one more anxiety, like how to communicate and how to deal with this data inside the database. Right now, when someone said dealing means what, how to bring the data out, how to push more data in, क्या होता है ये database, क्या होता है ये data storage pattern and all. Because up until then, the data was stored like in a mere file format, maybe in some text editor or maybe in some accounting sheets. So all of sudden change made people so curious, like what is database and how to deal with it. Okay, now suddenly one name comes into the picture and it becomes very famous, and that is Sir E.F. Codd, Edgar Frank Codd, who was an Englishman people who worked for IBM that time as a computer scientist. Alright, fine. Now, this was not the first time that he took some challenging task in his custody. ये कोई पहली बार नहीं था where E.F. Codd, he struggled hard. Understood? Somewhere long back in the year 1940, this guy also had struggled a lot for some first electromechanical computer in the world. Right? So this was a very popular name. Hoping people are understanding up until here. Fine. Take it. Next, now what happened, but he proposed this model, he proposed that model, like we can deal with data this way, we can deal with the data that way. But actually, it was his work, E.F. Codd, people, Sir E.F. Codd, it was his work of the year 1970 when he introduced an article called as Relational Model of Data for the Large Shared Data Banks. And the concept of relational databases or RDBMS became famous very soon. Okay, feel free to ask any doubt in case if you're not understanding. The article that this guy he published, computer scientist who worked at IBM, Sir E.F. Codd, he published a very powerful article. Even you can Google this article and search it, read it if you get time. People, relational data for the large shared data banks, and very soon a new term was coined called as relational databases or RDBMS. Not only this much, friends, not only this much, Sir E.F. Codd, he also introduced two languages, which was a very big challenge to the world, how to deal with the data. This guy, see, the story is so interesting. E.F. Codd, he introduced two powerful languages to edit the data, insert a row, delete a row, create a table. One called as relational algebra, other called as relational calculus. Even though these languages were so powerful, they achieved what was meant to, but he could not convince IBM that time. Poor man, people, he could not convince it. The reason why, because these languages were very tough for the people to learn, code and explain. And लोगों को समझने के लिए ये भाषा काफी मुश्किल थी. Understood? Now, two more computer scientists from IBM, they copied. In fact, I can't say copy, but they refer to the model of Sir E.F. Codd only. Understood? Relational algebra, relational calculus, यही तो E.F. sir के model को ही refer करके. Now, these two computer scientists, these two guys, Royce and Chamberlain, who also worked at IBM, they proposed a simple language and they named it as structured query language or structured English query language. And very soon this language became popular by the name SQL or structured query language. Alright, fine. The main aim was what, any ordinary person should also be able to write the code and get the data out of the database. People like you and me, guys, ordinary guys. The ordinary guys, anyone should be able to communicate, deal with the data inside the tables and databases. Like, we should be able to write order, question, command, request in a simple English language, the way I'm talking now, or maybe you are hearing now. एकदम साधारण सी भाषा में जो लिखकर हम टेबल से डेटा डील करें, ऐसी भाषा सामने लाओ. And your answer is nothing but SQL, people. Alright, fine. So this is how the story of SQL I have briefed in front of you. Please study more about it. That's really very interesting. Okay, fine. Alright, now there are many engines you can use SQL to code. So one thing is very clear from this. SQL, to whom people call shortly as SQL, or roughly while speaking, it's a database query language. It's a backend language. Using this language we can code the databases and tables. Using this language we can code DBMS and RDBMS. So today let us also talk about what is DBMS, what is RDBMS. If you are aware of these, please write to me in the chat section. Okay, अगर आप जानते तो भाई आप okay, चिन्नू clear. Hello ma'am, nice to meet you. Fine. Hello everyone. Okay, if anyone from you know the clear difference between DBMS and RDBMS, please write to me in the chat box. I would be glad to reply you back. Meanwhile, I also continue. See, when you talk about database management system, go by the meaning of the full form. Break the words in the full form and read. Means managing the database. Correct? A system that manages the database. So the story starts from data. People data, which is a raw information. Always remember, girls and boys, जब कोई हमसे पूछता है भाई डेटा क्या, the game player is a data here. Understood? The hero of the movie, people, the main hero of the movie is data. But when somebody asks you what is data, try to understand. Data is not an information. It's a raw, unprocessed, मतलब कच्चा people, raw, unprocessed information. Alright, for example, if I say Raj, 12, Mumbai, so what will I understand from this, or what will someone else understand from this? You have to process this, like Raj is a let me say student name, 12 is his roll number. If you don't write roll number, somebody can interpret it as an age also, correct? ये नंबर क्या लगता है राज का? Those who understand Hindi here, ये नंबर राज का क्या है, उसका क्या लगता है? I speak the same thing in English now. What does this number mean to Raj? 12 और राज का क्या रिश्ता है भाई? Is this the age of Raj? Is this the roll number of Raj because he's a student? Is this country code of Raj like 91? So you have to process the number 12 so that it becomes a complete info. Right? So never say data is info, information is data. No. A data is always a raw, means unprocessed information, kacha. Please acknowledge to me here in the chat section, guys, you're understanding or not. Fine. If mastered well, SQL can land you help good jobs. Okay, fine. So that is what is the goal here. Okay, fine. So that is data. But when the data is organized in the form of rows and column, one more time, come on, mug up this point in your mind. कभी ना भूलने के लिए सुन लीजिए आप. कभी ना भूलने के लिए, never to forget, hear out this point. When data is organized into rows and columns, it is called as a table. Okay, for example, imagine you have a cupboard at your home, cupboard, wardrobe, but it is without shelf. How difficult would be for you to manage the stuffs inside? Am I right? So these proper shelves allow us to keep the objects and stuffs organized, correct? बराबर रीति से. Right? So that is what is the role of the table here. Properly made rows and columns help data to be stored in an organized manner, in a little decent and disciplined way, not unorganized way, not cluttered way. It should look good. It should look easy to talk to. That is called as a table. My friends who are very new to the concept of SQL here, जो बैक एंड लैंग्वेजेस सीखने के लिए पहली बार आज आए हैं या जो रिकॉर्डिंग देखकर बाद में सीखते हैं, खास तौर पे उनके लिए कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर अप एंटिल हियर. ठीक है, फाइन. सो दैट इज व्हाट इज द मीनिंग टेबल. सो डेटा ऑर्गेनाइज्ड इनटू टेबल्स, एंड व्हेन सेवरल टेबल्स आर related or they are stored together, let me say, that becomes nothing but database. Okay, when these several tables are stored, they're gathered, it forms a database. But if you say database or DBMS, that means you are only doing the CRUD operation, like inserting data, deleting data, updating data, or reading data. Okay, in one of the upcoming lecture I'm going to talk about CRUD, people. CRUD, CRUD. Today this is very early for me to teach you what is CRUD all in one go. Understood? सब एक घंटे में एक साथ हम नहीं सीख सकते हैं. So just keep this name CRUD in your mind. So when you say DBMS, means you're only storing, you're just inserting data, deleting data, reading data, maybe updating data. But when you say RDBMS, over here you are also trying to relate to data. Understood? R, people, relational. You're also trying to relate the two data. For example, the data from one table, that is the primary key from one table, becomes a foreign key into another table. Now again, what is primary key, what is foreign key, all these things very clearly and in a minute detail we are going to code and understand. I hope you got my point. Alright, which product was supplied by which vendor? Now vendor ID from the vendor table becomes a foreign key into product table. Which product was sold to which customer? So order, or let me say product ID from the product table, customer ID from the customer table becomes foreign key inside an order table. Right, so product, order, customer, each of them are keeping data separate, neat. Understood? Fine. So we have just related these two tables आपस में. That's the reason is it is called as a tight coupled structure now. सारा बंधा हुआ है यहाँ पे. Alright, everything is tightly coupled, and that becomes nothing but an RDBMS. This is not only RDBMS, we have got a lot of points to speak about it. But as of now, to begin the class with and to begin the entire syllabus, this warm up is enough. इतनी जानकारी काफ़ी है. What is data? What is table? What is DBMS? What is RDBMS? Okay, and then this history of SQL, how it was introduced to the world, and the most popular name, guys, remember when it comes to SQL, Sir E.F. Codd. Understood? आगे जाकर आपको पता चलेगा he is the same guy. This fellow, the mastermind people, he is the same guy who introduced 4 relationships: one to one, one to many, many to one, many to many. And believe me, these 4 cardinalities, these 4 relationships were or are so powerful that till date we never found the need of the 5th relationship. Boys and girls, are you understanding? Rakesh, Venkatesh, Chinnu, Crown Brothers, whose name I can see here, and the others as well. Alright, I said you remember this name, Sir E.F. Codd. The 4 relationship this men who introduced in the world of database, they were so powerful that we never found, आज तक कभी ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ी. Good, आज तक कभी ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ी to introduce 5th cardinality or the 5th relationship. Alright, fine. Once again, today it is so early to talk about what is one to many, what is many to one, what is many to many. Fine, so we have a good time to deal with all these stuffs. Right now, to go ahead, let me show you the installation steps. Okay, now from the class Monday onwards, when you are attending the session, make sure that you keep the application software installed. Good. Application software आपके computer laptop में install करना, that is your duty. Do not postpone this work. Only watching the things on YouTube will not help you to learn the technology until and unless you yourself give your hands on and make it dirty with coding. Okay, fine. Alright, this was one thing. Number 2, today, okay, not today, let me say this way. There are several SQL engines, like you can make use of Microsoft SQL Server to write SQL query. Alright, different DBMS, RDBMS applications are available. You can even make use of Oracle people to write PLSQL syntax and query. Fine, but throughout this SQL series, we are going to work on MySQL. One of the reason being it is free and easy to use. Yeah, of course, not everything in MySQL is free, but most of the requirements will suffice our basics and advanced concepts. So we will go ahead with MySQL, wherein we are going to write the SQL queries and learn it. Okay, fine. So here we go. Here we go. Suppose, now from where will you download it? Come on, from where will you download it? I am not sending you the link here. You can directly search this way. Okay, let me send you then. Fine, just write download MySQL for Windows. MySQL for Windows. Depending upon Windows, Mac, what are you working with? Fine. The official website of MySQL, people, mysql.com. DEV development .mysql.com. Visit that, please. MySQL installer. Okay, it will give you the latest version of the MySQL. Please install the one which is latest. Okay, and this is where you will get the link from. Windows x86 32-bit MSI installer, somewhere around 2.1 MB. Okay, fine, and we click to download it. Alright, we click to download it. It's up to you. I think, no, sorry, don't install web community. Try to install community installer, the second one. Okay, try to install the community installer. Community installer, people. Okay, you will find 2 installer, web community and community. So go to community installer. That will help us with the full package to download it. Okay, now I don't click to download because I've already kept it downloaded. Alright, मैंने पहले से download करके रखा है. Once it is downloaded, I'll be sharing this file with you on WhatsApp group. People, WhatsApp group पर I'm going to share. Now, how to install it? There are several formalities here. Just blindly don't keep saying next and next. Somewhere we have to input some data as well, or some setting as well, right? So first of all, this community installer, double click to unzip. जैसे हम कोई भी ऑर्डिनरी सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल करते, double click to unzip. After you unzip it, execute its exe file. Okay, this is how the screen looks like when you execute the exe file. Okay, next, come on, next. The next step will ask you select the type of installation. Please, you have to select full. People, the default will be either server only or something developer. This will not be by default. ये आपको check करना पड़ेगा. If you will not select full, you will miss out on certain components which we will require. Okay, so please click the full. You have to select it full here. Next, see the point mentions here, when you select full, following things will be installed: SQL Server, SQL Shell, MySQL Router, MySQL Workbench, MySQL Connector, some documentation, some samples, some examples of the database. Right, so all this comes in the package when you select full. Okay, come on. Later on, click on the execute button because it checks for some system requirement. When you click on execute button, those requirements will be installed automatically. So some Visual Studio tools are required. You see somewhere Python is required. That is its internal requirement, people. Not complete Python, some packages are required. Fine, okay, just click on execute button there. Don't say, just say next, people. नहीं तो वो install करे बगैर अगला step पे जाएगा. You have to click on execute here. Okay, now this step will come many times more. ऐसा step execute करने वाला आगे बहुत बार आता जाएगा. Many times it will keep coming. Because MySQL need a lot of other tools behind back in the memory. Every time it will keep asking you, these are the system requirement for this tool to be installed. These are system requirement for that particular component to be installed. Okay, fine. Alright, say next. See, again it says that these are all things which is going to be installed. Click on execute. Okay, this is default. You will just say understand on your own. Okay, okay. After that is done, it shows you green tick and you have to click on next. I don't know whether you can see the font size is clear or not. Okay, fine. And we say next. Again, nothing to be done here. Next, don't worry. I'm going to share this document with you. I will be sharing this document. Fine, just keep few things in mind so that you don't forget when you sit to install. Okay, fine, nothing, we'll do again next. Okay, here also nothing, we are again going to do next. कुछ भी नहीं करना है. Next, remember people, 3306. This is going to be the port number of SQL Server. Port number. Now when I see you next time on Monday, you are going to study and keep one difference ready for me. That is, what is the difference between a port number and an IP address. Okay, every server has both identity. Okay, and if somebody from here already knows, please let me know in the chat section. अगर आप पहले से जानते हो भाई तो बता दीजिए. नहीं जानते हो तो इसको एक बार पढ़कर आइए मंडे. Understood? Had this been a networking lecture today, I would have gone into detail. आज अगर हम वो LAN, MAN, WAN नेटवर्किंग सीख रहे होते, क्लाइंट सर्वर आर्किटेक्चर, तो आपको अभी बता दिए होते. Okay, I give you one hint. Port number, it's a UUID, not UID, W, universally unique ID. Understood? Universally UUID. Okay, good. Next, I go ahead from here. Fine. Authentication method. Okay, nothing to be selected here. जो डिफॉल्ट है उसी को चेक करते हुए, yes, use strong password encryption for authentication. Fine, done. We say next. Alright, and this is going to be the important step. Step number 10. Step number 10, let me explain you a little. At this step, it is going to ask you enter root password. Okay, root. Now, who is root? Root is the administrator. Okay, administrator people, see like this. Here you have to enter the admin password. But whatever password you enter, please remember that. उसको याद रखना. Because root or admin's account is the only one account. वो अकेला ही account available रहता है after installation. Is it clear? Rakesh, Chinnu, Venkatesh and my other friends. Okay, that's the only one account which is available when you install MySQL. Understood? After the MySQL is installed, then you can create many local accounts. बहुत सारे local account बनते हैं. And whose root is, somebody ask? Root is an administrator. Okay, remember one thing, system administrator has a lot of rights and privilege over the system as compared to other local users. Okay, उससे भी पहला try to understand. This is another important point here. दूसरी काम की बात. People, MySQL is a account protected application. It's Excel or Notepad that you just double click and the file is open in front of you. उनके जैसा नहीं है ये. डबल क्लिक करने से ओपन हो जाएगा, ऐसा एप्लीकेशन नहीं है. डबल क्लिक या क्लिक करने पर it first asks you to log in. Understood? Unless you understand, I won't go ahead from here. आपको यहाँ पे लॉग इन लेना पड़ता है. पीपल, आपका नाम और पासवर्ड. टेल मी योर नेम एंड पासवर्ड. Right? So such type of applications are called as account protected. Hold on. Okay, connection successful. I'm back. Fine. After root's password, you have to do nothing, and we say next. Fine. Alright. The next screen simply asks you to 1 minute. Configure Windows service to start the servers. कुछ नहीं करना है. Just say next. Okay. The next screen will ask you to apply the configuration. Okay. Just say execute. Nothing to be done here. Default. Next and execute. Now click on the finish button. Mostly we are done. Mostly. Even after you click the finish button, you see what happens. Okay. Fine. Fine. Some product configuration are yet to be installed. Even after you click the finish button, so say next. Okay. Then we configure the router. We configure means what? You just have to keep the selection on. The installer will automatically do it. This, I think I'm reconnecting. Okay, fine. Okay, the next step will ask you to start the server. Please enter the password of the admin. So this is going to be the same password what you have just set in few steps ago. That is at step number 10. Correct? Just click on finish later. Next and ओके एग्जीक्यूट. जिधर जिधर एग्जीक्यूट बोलता है वहां पर क्लिक करते जाइए एंड फाइनली क्लिक ऑन फिनिश. दैट्स डन. Right? Now how will you test whether MySQL is installed or not? Let me close this file. How will you test that? Okay, come on, just go to your Windows, search for the MySQL. Okay, let me not show you like this. Let me show you the full package which is installed. Okay, this is MySQL. Expand it. Go to workbench. If you have not selected वो second step में button full रेडियो ऑप्शन फुल नहीं सिलेक्ट किया होगा ना, ये इधर सारे चीज़ें आएंगी नहीं. ओके fine, so we select MySQL workbench. Now first let me explain you what is workbench. Let me click at that. MySQL workbench is that interface where we create databases and tables. Okay, please mug up this point in your head. Again we are learning this, never to forget. MySQL workbench is interface, वो जगह है. It is that interface where we create RDBMS and DBMS. Is that clear? Fine. Okay, fine. I think I clicked MySQL. No. MySQL. Okay. I think it's getting open behind. Okay, now as soon as you open, it is not going to love you or welcome you. यहाँ पर लॉगिन लेना पड़ता है people. Understood? आपके लिए पहले से बैठा नहीं to welcome you. No, you have to take a login here. Now I know I'm going to log in. I have one account, that is root account. Now how to log in? You have to first create a connection. MySQL connection stores your login detail. I repeat this point again. You have to create MySQL connection to login. MySQL connection keeps and creates and keep the login detail. Right, so I click this MySQL connection. Okay, it will ask you to enter some connection name. Type anything that you want. Yeah, I'm writing ABCD. What matters is the username here. Don't change anything here. Now host name change करिए, ना port number change करिए. Whatever by default is selected is perfect. जो by default है सब perfect है. You just give the connection name, username and password. Username is root. Click on test connection. Okay, give your password now. Okay, my password is 1234 here. Right, this should be the message that should come to you. Successfully made the MySQL connection. Successfully we have made MySQL connection. I say okay, and I say okay again, and you find it ABCD here. Okay, ABCD here. Let me scroll this down. This is ABCD. Okay, now every time when you want to log in into root account, you can use this connection detail. Clear everyone? हर बार जब जब आपको रूट के अकाउंट में लॉगिन लेना है, जब जब आपको रूट के अकाउंट में लॉगिन लेना है, okay, you can use this connection ABCD. Now when I go to click ABCD, I go to click ABCD, I clicked it, and this is going to actually open my SQL workbench, and this is the home screen. Okay, you see there are so many databases I've already created here. Okay, ignore the font size if you can't read. We are going to work on the right side, which will be a bigger font. Right, so you see these are all the databases that I've kept created. ये सब databases है people. Now let me quickly show you how to create a new database here. We simply have to write, okay, create people database, create database, say SQL day 1, semicolon people, must here, that is to end one query, and if you don't write semicolon and start some other query, so it will not consider the first query ended or terminated. Right, पहला query terminate किए बगैर अब दूसरा start कर. Right, so I come to the first line. Okay, create database SQL day 1, if not exist and all. I'll show you the logic of if not exist later, although that is a good practice always to check before creating whether any database by that name exists or not. Okay, before it gives an error, we only troubleshoot that. Okay, so what do I do? Create database. Now okay. How about now, Rakesh? But were you able to hear everything or not? You should have said me before. आपको पहले बताना चाहिए था ये. Was everything clear whatever I spoke? Hello guys, am I audible or not? I'm audible, whatever explained clear. If no, then let me know. Okay, all good, fine, ठीक है, thank you for that. Okay, and if still not understood anything, so please let me know. I'll repeat that point again. हम उसको repeat करेंगे people. ठीक है, because आपका समझना is only what is our motto. Okay, I understood that, fine, good, thank you for making us aware about it. We make sure that the mic is at a bit distance. Okay, now what did I say to you? Create database SQL day 1. So the database got created, but if you run the query again, it will show you error. Why? What is the error? It says database exists. Okay, it says this database by this name already exists. Right, fine. Now before we create a table inside the database, उससे पहला हम table बनाए, we have to activate this database by writing the query use SQL day 1. Okay, use it. Now when you say use SQL day 1, this database becomes an active database, and hence on whatever tables you create, it will be automatically created in SQL day 1 and not in other databases who are present here. Right? Without writing this query, if you try to create a table, it will question you only back. आपको ही पूछेगा, people, this new table should be created in which database? In this account there are so many databases. तो नया टेबल में किस कौन से डेटाबेस में बनाऊं? So you better make this clear. From my account, use the database SQL day 1. I do control enter from the keyboard. You want, you can run this, click on this button to execute also. And this is how it works. Everybody here, fine people. Okay, now I would not like to continue ahead because I need a connected half an hour at least to show you how to create table, how to insert row, how to create column, data types in SQL, how to update data, what is DML and what is DDL, and what are these two categories of command. Right, so basically what we did today was a warm introduction of SQL, installation of MySQL, and showing you the workbench, how to log in and access it. Hoping you are understanding. Everybody here, fine. Tell me any doubt from your side. Rakesh, Chinu, Venkatesh Rao, and others, people whose name I can't see here. Is everything clear, everybody? Fine. Okay, now my assignment to you would be, by Monday, keep MySQL workbench installed. If it is already installed, well, पहले से installed है तो चलेगा, नहीं है तो प्लीज करके रखिए. Okay, because Monday onward the classes will be having the fast track content. That means a lot of content we will be covering up. Okay, everybody here, fine. Alright, just a moment so that we can send you the attendance link. Good, fine, chalega. Alright people, okay, fine. See you back once again on Monday, 5 p.m. Good, clear. This is around 10 to 12 days ka series, people, in which we will give a maximum input from our side, that we cover up all important topics of SQL which is required to clear industry interviews. You are able to create one small ER diagram based project, connect the table, data to be retrieved and inserting in the table with a good high-end relationships, views, and lot of functions like aggregation functions and some extra functions and so on. Right, so this is what will be the motto. Okay, good time spending with you all as always. If you have not understood, please watch our video again, and do not forget to like if you find our efforts were fruitful for you. Okay, goodbye, take care, see you back on Monday class.